Frankie Diamonds may have attempted to steal Nero's retirement funds, but was that just retaliation? And Chuck Zito having the show stolen away from him. Welcome back, guys, to Fog Entertainment, and today we've got some Sons of Anarchy news, despite the show unfortunately being dead for about a decade now, being gone for over 10 years. We have Chuck Zito, who played the part of Frankie Diamonds, and he played him very well, may I add, but he's come out and he spoke recently about how he still believes that Sons of Anarchy should have been and was his show.
He played him very well. I tell you what, for 71, he looks very well. Chuck Zito looks quite good. But I'll tell you this thing as well. He was also in Oz, right? And I want people to comment, should we watch Oz? Because I've heard a lot of good things about Oz and a lot of good actors have been in Oz, right? He was also former New York president, chapter, Hell's Angels.
So this guy's the real deal, right? He's not some wannabe, I'm a TV star, movie star. This guy was in a club. And you know what? Maybe that's why he looks the part. Maybe that's why when you see Frankie Diamonds with the other two nomads, you're thinking, hold on here.
Who are these two?
I just want free Frankie Diamonds and get rid of the other two.
I think you could tell though, when you see like, you know, Chuck Zito, you see like Happy, you see Quinn. They do have like the cold hard man look to them.
Then you've got West who just, you know, holds Bobby's dick and it's like not the same thing.
Yep. Absolutely not. But I mean, in terms of this, I mean, before we dive into his comments, I mean, why would FX turn down Chuck Zito and go with Kurt Sutter? I mean, this guy was a literal president. Kurt Sutter had to spend time with gangs just to find out what they were into.
You could argue Kurt Sutter had a history and he had a career of, you know, television shows. And
well, this guy was in Oz.
They maybe felt more comfortable going with Kurt Sutter, someone that had success, than this Zito guy who, well, did his success come before or after Oz? When was Oz it?
Oz was 97, so...
Did he have a big part in Oz? Or?
I don't honestly, I don't know.
Well, we don't know. He literally could have had a cameo, so it's hard.
It says, however, actor Chuck Zito, and then they're labelling him with Oz. I'm going to guess he had a decent role in Oz. But my point is, it's like...
Doesn't need to be true. He could have just played a minor role, and maybe that's his only acting part to date.
Part for Sons.
Aye.
I look at Chuck Zito, right, and I think... The problem with me is, you see guys in the mob... when they do like movies and TV shows, they're actually viewed upon as a rat because they've kind of like gave up on that life and they've shown an insight into that life. I think you've probably seen the Michael DeFrazzi guy. He always talks about being a made guy, and they always question him, oh, did you ever kill anyone? And he never gives like a straight answer. I feel like a former president creating a TV show about a motorcycle club, it's like, how could he not incorporate all the illegal stuff he did into that show?
Yeah, it could literally be like real life stories that he's telling.
And I think, is that a problem that FX wanted to avoid? Hell, is that a problem the Hells Angels wanted to avoid?
Possibly, but anyway, he spoke about what happened and he said the following, quote, I had a meeting. Well, the people who represented me had a meeting with John Landgraf and Nick Grad, who was the president and vice president of FX. They brought this show and they pitched the idea. And the network thought about it. Like 10 days later, they say, you know what? We're not going forward. We don't want to do a motorcycle show, and we pass. Next thing you know, a year later, we go with different representation to try again. They said, look, we can't take the meeting. We are already working on our motorcycle show. I said, well, where'd you get the idea from? My show was called Wild Angels. It was about a bike club, and I say, you know, I think they took the show from me, and I tried to sue them, and I lost summary judgment. End of quote. Now, he goes on to talk about his judges, and he tried to sue them, and then he talks about the role that he got. But is it a coincidence, or do you genuinely think that maybe... It's not necessarily that they stole his show. Maybe he just put an idea in their head, and then Kurt Sutter came to them with a better idea, a better show.
Yeah, I think there's loads of ways you can take it. At the end of the day, I mean, could they have simply rejected him and the way they went about it and then not telling him? Because, he is literally a former Hells Angel president. Maybe they were a bit scared of the guy. I don't know. But it's like, he's literally called it Wild Angels. It doesn't take a fucking rocket scientist to figure it. That's very close to...
That would be like the creator of C Nation goes to AMC to do a zombie show, and they say we're not interested. Then they bring out The Walking Dead a year later, and the guy who had the idea for C Nation claims they stole his show. I mean, it could have been two totally different shows, with the only similarities is it revolves around a biker gang. You know, it's not just because you had the same concept doesn't mean it's like the same show. It doesn't mean they've stole your ideas. It's just like the genre may have been the same, or you know, the concept of the show, but it doesn't mean they've literally took this guy's ideas and
he says he says he goes back a year later, right? A year in the entertainment business may as well be 50 years, man.
Yeah, but like, did he have the idea of Jax Taylor?
No, yeah, that's the problem. I mean,
what was his idea?
What you've got to bear in mind is, right, Suter has came to FX with a Shakespeare story. If you don't know, it's based off Hamlet. I fucking doubt Chuck Zito came to them with a story based off Hamlet.
Nah, I'd imagine he'd probably want to do, if anything, his show would probably be like more of just a real life, day-to-day running of a club. But, I mean, maybe he wanted more of like an actual drama, like a documentary style kind of show.
We don't really understand. But, you know,
if he stole the show, though, I would imagine that if you're going to go to a show, right, you're going to have that in writing. You're going to have scripts. You're going to have a story. It's not like this guy went and he just had the word of mouth and then all of a sudden they've stolen his idea. Surely he would have had a rough draft written out of what his plan was, the prologue, etc. No?
Yeah, I think that is the problem here.
And therefore, if he had any sort of direction, if he had any sort of concrete plan, it would be easy to prove, in my opinion, that this show was stolen from you. He would have a rough draft, he'd have like characters. He'd have an idea of where I want to begin and where I want to end. It could be a case of he just went, look, I think we should do a motorcycle gang show, we'll call it this, and we'll base it on motor gangs, and maybe they thought at the time we don't want that, and then it just happens Kurt Sutter, or maybe Kurt Sutter heard that somebody wanted to do a motorcycle show, and he thought, you know what, I could get on board with that, I think I could write one. But to suggest that it was his show and it was stolen from him, I don't think that's true.
It's just the concept. I mean, I don't think there'll ever be another motorcycle TV show. I think it's a bit different to zombies and things like that, or like whatever. It's not like it's a type of show. I mean, how many shows has there been about drug dealing? But drug dealing's very open mind. I mean, it can be a lot of places. Like, let's be honest, man. See if they brought out a biker show in a different country, you're still, that's wherever the country set, Sons of Anarchy. That's what you're going to say. It is specific, but he did talk about the fact that Kurt Sutter offered him a face-to-face sit-down. And after 10 minutes, I gotta tell you, I like the guy. It's like we knew each other for 20 years. He offered me a part in the show, Frankie Diamonds, but he then goes on to say that he should have lasted longer. And you know what? I tend to agree with him.
Yeah, no, I mean, his reasoning for he should have demanded a bigger role was, I believe he felt he should have been compensated a bit more, although, I mean, there is no proof it was his show. And his argument was that he was killed off too quickly, therefore he didn't get to make huge amounts of money. But I think the story that he got was good. I mean, he could have come in and, he could have sat at the table for 3 years and played a less significant role.
Yep.
What would you rather? Be in a show for a shorter period but play an important role? Like, I don't want to... It's hard to compare, but you look at Shane, right? Maybe John Bernthal thinks, look at the success The Walking Dead had. I wish I was in that show for 9, 10, 11 seasons of full duration. But I truly believe that John Bernthal got benefited more from just doing 2 seasons and getting killed off, because he went on to have a better career, got offered other roles, and the show went downhill. Sometimes you just run out of ideas for characters. As good as the Shane character was, I think where he died, that was probably the perfect point for it. Now, yeah, selfishly, would I like to have seen him remain? But probably, it made no sense. And for Frankie Diamonds, like, maybe he could have had a lesser role and been in more seasons, but would he be as memorable? I'm not convinced.
Yeah, he did go on to say, and I quote, my lawyer should have advised me, because they just signed for 3 more years. My lawyer should have told them, look, you can't kill him off, he's a main character, and he's on the show for the next 3 years, because it would have been great for me. Instead, in the 5th season, 9th episode, I get killed. So really, I wasn't in there long enough to make money. But it's like...
Yeah, but let's look at people who were in it for 3 seasons. If you add up... Serial Bowl, he's in it for about 3 seasons.
Yep, he's across 4 seasons serial.
But what
ball.
would you rather? You know, who had a bigger impact? For me, Frankie Diamonds.
He did, but I think he's saying, "Oh, my lawyer should have advised me. My lawyer should have told them." Mate, why don't you tell him?
Yeah, you're your own man. Why don't you just
You
say...
spoke with Sutter. Hold on, you spoke with Sutter. Why not in the conversation you had with Sutter here? Yeah, I would love to be a part of the show, but I want to be an integral part. I don't want to just be killed off after a couple of episodes. You know, I bring authenticity to the show. I was an actual president of the Hells Angels. I want to say some shit like that.
Yeah, for me, it's like, I don't know.
I mean, fair play to him, right? It would be very easy for him to come on and say, yeah, Sons was good, but my version would have been even better. He hasn't come on and said anything like that. He simply said that they took his idea.
How many people in the world, though, do you think have had an idea to do like a motorbike series? Probably a lot.
Yeah.
How many people have had the idea to do zombies? Probably a lot. Doesn't necessarily mean you're stealing from the one that came before you or the one that came after you.
Absolutely not, guys. At the end of the day, Chuck Zito, brother. He doesn't sound too bitter about it.
Well, he also talked about his lawyers, which you didn't mention, and he basically says...
I literally did.
No, we didn't go into the quotes.
I just talked about his lawyers.
No, that was...
About how they...
That's at the end. Anyway, let's just... we'll end it there.
No, we can talk more about his lawyers, but I mean, honestly, what does talking about his lawyers really do?
Well, you said he doesn't sound bitter, but it sounds like to me he's suggesting the only reason he didn't win is because they had 5 lawyers and they changed his lawyer halfway through the court.
They changed his lawyer. See, fucking the...
Well, that's what he's saying to me.
No, but see law in America, man, or across the globe, actually, it's fucking the corruptest thing ever. Oh, fair justice system. It's a load of fucking shite. Isn't it, though?
That's what he seems to think. He thinks it's a load of shite.
Yeah, but... Well, you know what, though? At least Kurt Sutter actually held him out after all that, though. Kurt Sutter...
Yeah, Kurt Sutter kind of had nothing to do with him. It's like, oh, you're that guy that tried to sue us. Fuck you.
Pretty much. And you know what? I think if it happened a few years later, Kurt Sutter might have been like that. Because I don't know what's happened to Kurt Sutter, like, but it seems like he's fucking boiled recently.
Yeah, anyway, Kurt Sutter probably should retire because anytime he brings out a new show, he just seems to leave 1 year into it.
No, 1 year into it? Why has he left that show? What's that show called? The Abandons?
Well, he's abandoned it.
Abandoned ship, guys. I mean, Frank Zito, could he get into that? Frank Zito. It's fucking Chuck Zito, man. Next time I call him Frank, I'm going to rope it. Anyway, till then, peace.